Distinguish between apparent authority and presumed authority. Part A, distinguish between apparent authority and presumed authority. Any other attempt? Apparent. You only needed to define what is apparent authority and what is presumed authority, then you earn the 2 marks. Okay? Apparent authority candidates arises when a principal, through their words or conduct, creates an impression to a third party that an agent has the authority to act on their behalf, even if the agent doesn't have actual authority. Apparent, ostensible authority. Okay? From the word apparent. Do you understand? I'm saying that apparent authority arises when a principal, through their words or conduct, creates an impression to a third party that an agent has authority to act on their behalf, even if the agent does not have actual authority. Apparent. Do you understand? Let me give you a few examples, or one example. An example is a job title or position. Giving an agent a job title like sales manager or purchasing manager can give third parties the impression that they have authority to enter into contracts related to those functions, even if the principal has internally limited their actual authority. Do you understand? That's an example of apparent authority. That's an example of apparent authority. A job title. Assume you are working for an organization and you've been given the title of the sales manager or the purchasing manager or purchasing director. Okay? So that implies to third parties that you have the authority to enter into contracts on behalf of the principal, which is the company. Okay? That is the impression that third parties get when they know they are dealing with the sales manager. And that may be so or may not be so, because the principal may have internally limited such authority for a sales manager to enter into contracts on behalf of the company. Apparent authority. Apparently. Okay, you've heard people use the word apparently. Apparently. You understand? Let me take another example. Another example is using business cards or company letterheads. Providing an agent with business cards or allowing them to use company letterheads bearing the company's name, bearing the company's logo, can suggest to third parties that they are authorized representatives of the company. But we know that may not also be true. But to third parties, that is what we are referring to as apparent authority. Another example is websites. Let me use company websites or online profiles. When an agent is listed on a company's website or social media platforms or profiles as a key contact person or a representative of a company, that can give an impression of authority to enter into agreements on behalf of the company. Okay? It creates an impression of authority to those who encounter with that information. If you visit a company's website and you see that there is their list of authorized agents, the third party gets the impression that though such persons have authority to act on behalf of the company. I want you to understand, candidates, the meaning of apparent authority. Have you understood? Now, can you put it down, please, in your own words? Apparent authority. Apparent authority. What is apparent authority in respect to the law of agency? Can you put it down? Put it down, please, Dennis. Hanu. Apparently, candidates focuses on what is observable without considering any further motives. Apparently. That's the meaning. So apparent authority. Apparent authority, candidates, arises when a principal, through their words or conduct, arises. Apparent authority arises when a principal, through their own words or conduct. Apparent authority arises when a principal, through their words or conduct, creates an impression to third parties. Creates an impression to third parties. Creates an impression to third parties. Because here we have the principal, then we have the agent, then there are third parties. Okay? That an agent has authority to act on their behalf. And candidates, when we are discussing agency, the law of agency, don't limit your understanding to the normal agency relationships, like the one for landlord and tenant. Okay? An agency could be a company hiring a sales manager, okay, or having managers and shareholders. The shareholders are the principal. I'm giving an example. The management is an agent. So, apparent authority arises when a principal, through words or conduct, creates an impression to third parties that an agent has authority to act on their behalf. And I gave examples. I gave 3 examples. Another example could be, say, prior dealings. Prior dealings. If the principal has allowed an agent to enter into similar contracts or transactions with third parties in the past, that can create an impression or an expectation that the agent has continuing authority to do so. Okay? So let's draw the distinction by defining presumed authority. We can define phrases or terms by their definition. Now, presumed authority candidates, on the other hand, refers to the authority an agent is assumed to have by virtue of their position or role based on usual business actions or practices. It is the authority that a person in that position would typically have, even if the principal has not explicitly granted that authority to the agent. It is presumed that an agent has the authority to act on behalf of the principal. It is assumed. It is the authority that is assumed. It refers to the authority an agent is assumed to have by virtue of their position. It is the authority that an agent is assumed to have by virtue of their position and role. Let me give examples. An example is a managing director. Let me start with that one. A managing director of a company. Now, candidates, a managing director of a company is presumed to have the authority to enter into contracts and make decisions on behalf of the company in the ordinary course of business. That includes hiring employees, that includes entering into sales agreements, making purchases. It is assumed that if you are a managing director, then you are an agent of the company. Another example is, say, a company secretary. A company secretary is typically presumed to have the authority to certify company documents, to maintain statutory registers, and also to communicate with shareholders and regulatory bodies. So if one is a company secretary of a company, then that company secretary is an agent of the company and it plays certain roles by virtue of their position and their roles. Take another agent, sales representative. A sales representative is presumed to have authority to solicit orders, to negotiate prices, and also to buy products or services on behalf of the company. Presumed authority. Think of a partnership agreement or partnership business. Think of a partner in a partnership. We all know by now, candidates, that each partner in a partnership is presumed to have the authority to bind the partnership in transactions. relating to the partnership. In the ordinary course of business, if you are a partner, you are an agent of the partnership. So it is presumed. Do you understand? So candidates were just required to define the way I have defined to earn 2 marks. 4 marks. These are 4 marks. 4 marks. Introduction to law and governance.